Wherapy. Therapy wherever, whenever.
The third and final concept that I want to mention today, the third and final way in which I realize that culture can affect mental health, is quite a universal thing, but it is perhaps stronger in this area of the world, since this area of the world isn't as forward in their views and thoughts on gender equality. I'm talking about a person that I had a therapy session with. This person was from a country in Africa. It was a woman, and she was about maybe 35 years of age. And there were a lot of expectations based on gender norms. In her family, these expectations didn't really exist. Her mother was a very kind of supportive woman, and I guess her mother as well may have understood the conflict that she was in and the plight that she was suffering from. Or her plight. But society, the people that she was working with renewable energy, and she was an office job which was very interesting to her, and it was a job where there was a possibility of a career in that job, and she was performing very, very well, but she had a lot of colleagues who had kind of misconceptions about how a woman could be in the workplace, and what a woman in her age should prioritize. And her friends and people in her general surroundings also had these expectations. And she was living in a very reasonably small place where you kind of hear on the sly, indirectly, what people are saying about you, their thoughts about you. And there was a lot of talk about, well, she should focus on a family, especially at her age. Is there anybody who would want to make a family with her, considering her age and how many children she could get, and so on and so forth. So this put a lot of pressure on her. She wanted to pursue her career. She also had been in a relationship before where she felt like she had been hurt by this person. So she had some trust issues based on that, obviously. She wanted to kind of be kind to herself, prioritize herself, and pursue that career and pursue other aspects of life, not just family life. So she kind of felt very inside, like she wanted to guard this, because since society was attacking this aspect of her, she had to stick up for that part. So she was focusing a lot on that. And this is a typical concept in psychodynamic theories, or psychodynamic therapy, where we, in order to maintain our own kind of sanity, we see things as very black and white, especially when we're mourning people. But this was also this aspect of her was something that she was in the process of mourning. Yeah, she felt like, well, I'm at this age, so I'm gonna have to start letting this go. She saw that reality a little bit, and she felt very defensive of it. Yeah, and she didn't want to let it go, and rightly so. Yeah, she should pursue her life, and what she wants to do with her life. But this made her keep a hold of that a lot, very strongly, and push away the rest of the society. Stay away. I'm protecting my right to pursue my dreams. And at the same time, she also pushed away the family aspect, getting a family, being a mother, and all that stuff. Yeah, and that wouldn't have been a problem if she, deep down inside, also didn't want to have that. Yeah, and it just happened to be that she wanted to have that as well, which is where this kind of biological urge, especially in women, but also in men, but in women who happen to have a time limit on when they can, when it's more likely that they're able to make babies. And her sensing that that time limit was also expiring, her urge of also wanting to have a baby, her kind of her disappointment in her maybe overprotecting her other desires of being a career person and pursuing fulfillment, and that coming at the expense of her other ambition, but her instinct, other desire at wanting to be a mother to a child and a wife to a husband. And this, so there essentially we had, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, within a conflict, that there's 3 different types, and there we had 2 desires competing with each other. Yeah, and one of those desires was stigmatized by society. Well, you shouldn't pursue a career since you're a woman in this age, and she felt very defensive about that desire. She also had this desire of being a family person, being a mother and a wife to a husband, as I mentioned. This desire was less than this desire. Naturally, she liked these things, yeah. And there was trust issues in regards to other men. There were also kind of this feeling that she was being forced into it that made her not want to pursue this desire as much. But her choosing not to pursue this desire was also her way of telling society, well, you can go and shove it. I want to do what I'm doing. Yeah. And if she were to create a family with someone and pursue that desire that existed within her, yeah, even though it existed to a lesser extent, in her mind it would be her saying to society that you win. You have forced me to do this. So it becomes very black and white in her mind. Either I have to be a wife, a mother, or I have to be this career person. And obviously, to some extent, there is an economic aspect of that and a practical aspect of that. And depending on where you live in the world, that is more real. But the possibility of having those two things going at the same time was very hard mentally in her current mental state, because it was a very either or thing. Either I let society win, or I'll be stubborn and let me win at the expense of having other desires as well. Yeah. So it was a very complicated situation that she was in, and it was a very good example of how women are forced into picking sides, or by society's expectations of them, and how a patriarchal society and the kind of the unspoken rules and thoughts there try to push women to live in a certain way. And it was interesting to see her response, because it was a very clear example of inner conflict in working very dynamically. Yeah. So there you have my 3 ways in which culture can affect mental health. These have been my reflections based on this therapy world tour. As I mentioned, I have had the privilege of speaking to people from over 40 countries, and I'm going to continue doing this therapy world tour next year, and the following year, and the following year, until I reach the goal of speaking to one person from every country in the world. And next year, I aim to have a total of 80 countries. So if you're interested, and if you're interested in participating in this, then make sure to follow me, Wherapy_ENG on Instagram, and just log in every Monday, and check on my Instagram account every Monday, because I upload a post where I publish 3 different countries where I'll take a therapy session with one person from those countries. Yeah. So when it is your country, then just send me a direct message saying that you're interested, and if you're the first one to do so, then you will have a free therapy session with me. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you're interested in therapy, interested in learning a lot about how mental health affects, or mental health is affected by various different things, then go over to Wherapy.com and look at some articles or listen to some podcasts. I hope you have a great day, and take care.